Hi everyone, welcome back to the Honor Me YouTube channel. I'm so glad that you guys are back with me. Today's topic that we're talking about is addiction. This topic can be hard for some people to talk about. It can be hard for some people to listen to and really try to understand it, because what a lot of people may not know is that we all have been a part of addiction in some period of our life. Maybe we still are. But sometimes it's hard to address. What is addiction? What does it mean? How does it affect our lives? Is it something good? Is it something we're dealing with right now and we don't know it? Is it something we're dealing with and we do know it? How do we get out? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I really hope you enjoy. Please subscribe to the Honor Me YouTube channel if you haven't yet. Come on, you haven't yet. You have to subscribe to the Honor Me YouTube channel. And like the videos, comment. I love to hear what you have to say, and share it if you feel like somebody would benefit from it. So I really guys hope that you enjoy this topic of addiction. Today's topic that we're talking about is addiction, and I know it can be a little bit hard, and we're gonna deal with it, but you know, we're gonna get through, and we're gonna figure out every little piece of addiction and how it affects our life. Addiction means the fact or condition of being addicted to a substance, a thing, or an activity. We're going to get a little bit deeper. So what is addicted? Addicted means a physical and mental dependency on a particular substance, unable to stop without adverse effects. When we start breaking down what addiction is, we start that sounds like something that I experienced before, or we can be in a place where, yes, that is something that I experienced before. And if we're gonna get a little bit real, okay, here we're gonna go. That might hurt a little bit. If we could get a little bit real, we all should be saying that is something that I have experienced before. You know, because life wants us to box addiction and put it in a box. Wants to box it up. Life wants us to box up addiction with drugs and alcohol and that kind of stuff. But they don't want to box up addiction that has to do with self-destruction. An addiction that has to do with self-denial. Come on, addiction is real. We don't want to box it with anything, because it says a physical and mental dependency on a particular substance. There's something that I'm doing that helps me, that I'm taking a particular substance that I'm depending on. Oh, I can be addicted to having people around me, because I'm scared of being lonely. And I have people around me, and it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter whether they're for me or not. It doesn't matter whether they're hurting me or not, physically, mentally, emotionally. But I am addicted to having company, having to have people around me, because it helps me to validate who I am. For sure. Hey, love. Am I talking to somebody today? So addiction doesn't just look like I want to say substance abuse, dealing with drugs, alcohol. It's not just those type of things. We can be addicted to porn. We can be addicted to sex. We can be addicted to self-destruction. You know, there's a lot of things that we can be addicted to. Addicted means a physical and mental dependency on a particular substance that are unable to stop without adverse effects. We can't just say no because we're addicted to it. There has to be a process in order for us to wean ourselves off of this thing, off of the substance that we're running to. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is how. How does this happen? How do we become addicted to things? How do we find ourselves in a place to be dependent on a particular substance? Well, how does that happen? Well, when we're going to talk scientifically, Brittany, Dr. Hit Love, when we're going to talk scientifically, we're gonna break it down where it's a biological process that is caused by addiction. It involves a reward pathways to our brain. It's something that we're receiving. Something is unnoticed. Come on, Candace. That's right, Get Money. It's something that we're receiving as a reward. Biologically in our brain, there's circuits that provide a rush of positive feeling, a good and a feel good chemicals to the reward of this substance use. Okay? The key thing that I want to talk about addiction is when we view addiction, I want you to view addiction as instant gratification. Because I just explained to you biologically what it is, and that biologic is the circuits that provide a rush of positive feelings, the feel-good chemicals that reward us for doing something, for using this substance, for whatever we're addicted to. Right? And it provides us, and we want to feel good. But why do we use? So if we come to a place to be able to say and view addiction as instant gratification, then we could have more of an understanding of it. I'm using this substance to get a feel good, a type of reward for it, but the reward is it's temporary. The reward dissolves, the reward dilutes, and I have to chase it again. So when we talk about addiction, honey, my loves, my king and queens, what are you chasing? What are you, yes, come on, Candace. What are you chasing? What are you chasing that you grab with a bag that has holes in it and it releases, and then you have to chase it again to catch it again, and then it falls through the bag and then you go again? It's that feeling, that feel good feeling. So somewhere along the lines, my king and queens, in order for us to be addicted to something, we had to come to a place to not feel like our life by itself feels good. Our life by itself creates a positive feeling. Oh, Nish, hey love, Ronnie Brown. Who am I talking to, king and queens? Do you hear what I'm saying? If we're addicted to a substance that brings these rewards into us chemically, a feel-good chemical that helps, that makes us feel good, a type of reward in our mind when we use these substances, when we deal with these substances, they make us feel this way. What in our life has caused us to not feel this way without using? Come on, Tia. Because, thank you, Tia. If we can be real, Pretty Zilde, Kello. If we can be real, come on, Candace. If we can be real, it says the substance could be a thing or activity or substance, whatever it may be, it's a dependency. You see, Tia said it's a person for me. For someone else, there's something that happened that made us feel like or diluted our life so low to the point that we don't feel good about life anymore. Diluted our life so much to the point that we don't get those feel-good chemicals. We don't have positive feelings. Zilde, thank you for my taps. That's what I'm talking about. We don't have those positive feelings anymore. So what happened? What led us on this pathway to this addiction? One of the key things about addiction for me, Candy, I will go to CVS and buy every pill I can get to. Come on, Candace. Drinking and pills, different type of drugs that we use, any type of drugs, and whatever it is, we could come to the point that even us smoking weed is that was recreational. We find that we have to do it all the time. We don't feel the same living without it. Be careful. Natural beauty, love supreme. Be careful what you're dealing with, that you need to get it because you don't feel you don't feel good without it. You're not able to live and have a normal day. I don't know who I'm talking to, but I know people in my life that used to say to me, if I don't, I need to spark this blunt, because if I don't, it's just not going to be the same. My day ain't going to be right. The conversation isn't going to be right. Sound all like Candy. Come on, Candace. There, it's just, it's not going to be the same. I need to do this so I could get my day together, so I could get my mind right. How many people say that? But what led us to the place that our mind isn't good enough without it? What led us to believe that our life isn't good enough without it? What changed? What affected us so bad that we got to this point? Thank you, Tia, for the taps, and thank you, love, for the gifts, helping me get closer to my goal, 5 stars, to make my goal for the month. Thank you, love. I appreciate you so much. What got us here? What took us to a place of addiction where we're looking for a substance that we begin to be physically and mentally dependent on? Because we're on, there's things. Come on, Nook. There's things that are going on in our life that we don't want to address. That's the first thing I want to talk about. Addiction is a way of coping with yourself. That's what we're going to talk about first. Hey, Frankie. Hey, Kay. Addiction is a way of coping with yourself. What do you mean by coping? Because we could use words and not really get into the definition of what the words is. Dealing with something difficult. To cope is to deal with something difficult. We are led to our addiction because we didn't have the tools. Come on, Nikki. We didn't have the tools on the inside to deal with the difficult thing. And that difficult thing could be a person, an experience. The difficult thing, we could get even deeper. The difficult thing could even be ourselves. And because we can't deal with the difficult thing, the addiction is a way for us to cope with not being able to deal with it. Addiction is a way of coping with yourself. We use these things so we don't have to face the difficult thing that we dealt with. When we deal with something difficult, there are ways that we deal with it. Are we addressing it? Are we hiding it? Are we covering it? When we don't address it, that's when we find other things to help us ignore it. Because we'll keep burying it and it'll come up again, and then we'll bury it and come up again. And every time it comes up again, we need something to help us forget that it was there. We bury it and a tombstone ends up showing up somewhere along the lines, and we remember that it's there. And then we go to the thing that we're addicted to forget that we removed the tombstone. And then somewhere along the lines, the tombstone comes back up, and then we see the tombstone, and then we remove it, and then we go back to the addicted thing to help us forget about the tombstone. Not even the tombstone, but what's buried there, what the tombstone says. And we go through this cycle because we didn't find and we didn't recognize that we had the tools to cope with the difficult thing. To deal with it, right? To deal with that difficult thing, to deal with it to the point that it's removed, that we don't come to a place to relive it, that we have healed ourselves from the very hurt that was caused to us. So solutions to addiction, it starts with self-awareness. I'm not going to cover the thing the difficult thing. I'm not going to cover it, but I'm going to be aware. I'm going to address it and face it head on. Self-awareness helps us to say, I'm bearing something that's hard for me to deal with. Let me find something that will help me deal with this, and let that thing that helps me deal with it be positive. Let it be something that I can continue to use to grow. Because when you look at addiction keeps us in that hamster wheel. Addiction keeps us in the same place. We're running in the same place. But when we come to a place to have that self-awareness, come on, Candace, come on, Taylor. When we come to that place, thank you for sharing love. Hey, Petty LaBelle. When we come to a place to have self-awareness, to say, no, Candy, there's something that you have to cope with that is hard for you. Let's find an answer. Let's find something that's going to help you. Okay, I'm going to find a therapist that's going to give me some answers and some tools to help me cope with this difficult thing. Help me cope with being molested as a child. Help me cope with being physically abused. Help me cope with being mentally and emotionally abused. Help me cope with these hard things that I don't want to face. I need something and someone that I need, either a tool or someone, an ability to help me face the very thing that I cannot face on my own. Drill hot dog. Yay, Lady Red. I love you. Welcome, love. Grand rising, grand afternoon, grand day, grand everything. Great day, great rising, great afternoon. I need someone to help me face these things. And that's what self-awareness says. You know, I'm not strong enough. Instead of me facing the fact that I'm not strong enough to deal with the thing that is difficult, I go to something, a substance that will help me forget. Do you see that? Instead of me recognizing, thank you, love, helping me get closer to my goal for the month, 5 stars. I love y'all. It will help me. It will help me. It will help me if I get and I understand that I need someone to, if I come to a place, that's what I'm trying to say. If I come to a place to have that self-awareness to know, okay, I'm not strong enough to deal with this. And it's okay. Not, see? Don't forget the it's okay part, because that's what leads us into addiction. Peaches. Hamster wheels. Hi, love. That's what gets us to addiction, because we say I'm not strong enough, and it's okay. When we say it's okay, then we don't search for things to cover that we ain't strong enough. But when we stop at I'm not strong enough, woe is me. If we understand that we're okay as we are, even though we went through the difficult thing, even though it was a terrible experience, even though it was very traumatic for us, when we know and understand that it's still okay for who we are, that it wasn't easy. It's okay that we don't have it all together. It is still okay that we're not strong enough. It's okay. It's okay that you're not strong enough. I'm self-aware that I'm not strong enough to deal with this, and I'm self-aware with who I am, my value and my worth. So I say, even though I'm not strong enough, it's okay. You see, that's where the okay comes from. The okay comes from us understanding who we are. We run to addiction because we don't understand who we are. We run to the substance, not even recognizing what we hold on the inside is more valuable than the substance that we're using to cover the hurt. Again, the abilities on the inside and what we carry and we value on the inside is way more valuable than the substance that we're running to cover the hurt. We are so lost in our value and our worth that we don't even recognize we have the very tools to deal with, to cope with the things that are difficult. But because we don't recognize what we have, we run to a substance that will help us forget, not deal with, forget. Okay, so self-awareness is number one. In order for us to not deal with addiction, we got to come to a place to be self-aware. Self-aware of our weaknesses, self-aware of our strengths, and, listen, I didn't end there. Self-awareness of our weaknesses, self-awareness of our strengths, and be okay with it. You can't forget that, because people that are addicted, they are aware of their weaknesses, and that's why they're addicted to what they are. They want to forget about them. Right? So it's not enough for us to be self-aware about our weaknesses. It's not enough for us to be self-aware about our strengths. What's enough is us to come to a point to recognize it's okay, Queen. It's okay you don't have it all together. It's okay that you are weak in some areas. It's okay that you're at a point where you feel like you got to get a substance to cover what you're feeling and what you dealt with. It's okay that you're human. You're not perfect. We all make mistakes. That's how the Most High made us. It's okay. It's okay. The reason why we come to a place to be addicted to things is because we don't take the okay. Key to credit, hey love. We don't take the okay. We don't say it out loud. We don't say it's okay that you're like this. Let's find something to help us deal with this. So self-awareness is key. The next thing is we have to, in order, a solution, it requires self-awareness, and a solution requires new coping skills. We need new coping skills. No. Let's talk about cigarettes. Anytime somebody wants to sit there and you get in an argument with somebody, you're having a bad day, the first thing you want to do is run to a cigarette. So what you have created was, yes, love, what you have created is a coping skill to the difficult thing. And the coping skill that you have created for yourself is not beneficial. The coping skill is a negative skill. It's a bad habit that you are coping to deal with things. Okay. The fact of the matter is, let's just be a little bit transparent, is the Most High made us very capable of dealing with difficulty all by ourselves. And what I mean by that, all by yourself, so Candy, we don't need therapy. You're saying we don't need like a counselor or something like that? Nope, that's not what I'm saying. What I mean is all by ourselves, where we decide that I have the abilities on the inside. I know my value and worth, that I'm able to get through this difficult thing. If I can't get through this difficult thing, then I know because of my value and worth that I can speak to someone. And when I speak to them, they will help me see and deal with, bring up, and us come together collectively to figure out a new coping skills that I can use. So that's therapists, that's our spiritual leaders, whoever and whatever it may be. Family, friends, maybe, whatever it is. But we're using ourself as the tool. You see, that's what I mean. Everything we have is in ourselves. Either we can handle it ourselves or deal with it ourselves, not the cigarette, or we can use, ourselves, we handle it by getting help from others. Yes, Dom. Thank you, love. Closer to my goal, 5 stars to make my goal for the month. Thank you, guys. You're amazing. You're amazing. Thank you, Dom. Renwig, K love. Okay, so a solution requires self-awareness. A solution requires new coping skills. I'm not going to get upset and run for a cigarette every time. That is a bad coping skill. I'm going to start researching. I'm going to talk to different people. And I'm going to get to a place to come up with some new coping skills. Maybe a new coping skill for me is taking a breath, meditating, breathing. Maybe a coping skill is bringing affirmations to myself. Candy, you are extraordinary. Candy, you are great. Candy, remember who you are. Candy, remember your value. Candy, remember how worthy you are. Remember all the things that the Most High has done for you that speaks of your worth. You are worthy, Queen. You don't need to exchange or you don't need to give up your energy on something that doesn't deserve it. You don't need to change your energy because they don't know what they're doing. You don't need to change your feeling or your mood because of what their self-will is and of choice. No. So we start speaking these things to us, and we find different ways to have new coping skills for the things that we used to run to a negative thing or a bad habit before. Okay? And the next thing is change your environment. Because I'm gonna tap on something, King and Queens, that might hit home. Maybe it will hit home. Maybe it won't. But we can be self-aware. Come on now. And to be honest, if we're really, really self-aware, it affects this anyway. But we can be self-aware. We can have new coping skills. But if we do not change our environment, nothing will work. How do you know that? Imagine me being addicted to cigarettes. Listen to what I have to say. Imagine me being addicted to cigarettes. And I'm self-aware now, right? I'm aware that I'm not dealing with what I need to deal with. And I'm using cigarettes to help me deal, which I shouldn't, because it causes cancer and I'm losing my life. The more and more I try to cope with life, the more and more I'm losing it. Ooh, that's deep. The more and more I grab a cigarette to cope with life, the more and more I'm losing it. Because it's causing me cancer somewhere along the lines. I'm not having that life and that more abundantly anymore, right? So anyway, I'm addicted to cigarettes. My solution is I want to deal with self-awareness. I see that I'm using these cigarettes to cover up for something that I don't want to deal with. Then I come into a place to start my new coping skills. Okay, instead of me, I'm self-aware I need to change being addicted to cigarettes. Okay, next step. I have new coping skills that I deal with when I get angry with someone. I'm going to speak some meditation over me. I'm going to seek some affirmations. I'm going to recognize who I am, that my energy should be always directed to my divinity and not to how people feel and their moods and things like that. I'm going to speak some affirmations to me. So I'm speaking the affirmations, but then I get to a place as I know I shouldn't be dealing with cigarettes. I need to speak some affirmations to myself. I go outside to where my friends are that smoke cigarettes, to go to them and be around them. And I'm trying to meditate and I'm trying to be better. But in my environment, everybody is smoking. You can't decide to come out, but you always going back in. And that's what happens when we're addicted. If you don't change your environment somewhere along the lines, you're going to resort back to that addiction. I'm not going to want to free myself from alcohol, and every time I get a break, I'm running to the bar, but I'm telling and lying to myself saying that I'm not going to drink. Somewhere along the lines, I'm going to fall back into what I'm in. We have to make sure we're strong enough that we don't go back into the crack house when we were abusing crack. We got to make sure that we're strong enough to go back in to set those people free. Because, honey, if you're not strong enough and you go back into the crack house, you're going to find yourself sitting with them and using all over again. We have to make sure we have that self-love on the inside. We got to make sure that we're strong enough and know our value and our worth before we try to free the ones that we know are in bondage like we once was. Because a lot of times we end up falling right back, come on Candace, right back into that addiction because we are out, we're freed, and we feel good being free. We want to free the other people that we know what they're going through. Honey, I see you being abused. I see the domestic abuse in your life, and I see it so clear because it's something that I dealt with. You know, I see the toxic relationship, honey, even though that you don't see it. I see it because I've been there. It's too familiar to me. I'm gonna give you guys an example, and this is going to be deep because it's coming to me. Thank you, Most High. You know how you rent a car? Have you ever noticed that? Yeah, have you ever noticed that when you rented a car, it could be a car you never thought of. It could be a Ford, whatever brand car it is, make car of it, a Ford Explorer, whatever it is, Toyota Corolla, whatever it is. You rent that car. You have it for a day, you have it for 2 days, maybe you have it for a week, whatever. You bring the car back. Did you ever notice, I want you to put a 1 in the comments, if this happened to you before. Did you ever notice that As soon as you bring the car back, everywhere you go, you see the car. I want you to put a 1 in the comments. You know, you rent this car. I ain't never knew the make, model of this car. Never cared about it in life, but I rented it, you know, because that was the car that they had available. Come on, Tia. Come on, Taylor. And I used to think that was so weird. I said, I didn't know this car from a hole in the wall. And now that I've been with the car for 2 days, everywhere I go, I see the car. That's what happens in life, king and queens. The reason why you can spot the domestic abuse relationship is because you've been there. You see it. It's just too familiar to you. The reason why you can spot this toxic relationship is because you've been there. It's too familiar to you. The reason why you could spot someone that doesn't love this self, because honey, I've been in a place and period in my life that I didn't love myself so much so I wanted to take my life. I even attempted to. I recognize it because I've been there. Why do you think, come on, I said this before, why do you think your haters can see what's going on so much so? Oh, y'all have issues with my finances. How do you know? Is it because you have issues with your finances? Do you see what I'm saying? Oh, what do you mean? What? Why you always talking about, why you saying that I ain't loyal? Oh, is it because you're not loyal? Uncle, hey, love. Fire Dream, hey, love. There's a relation. There's something similar. There's something comfortable. There's something that I recognize. There's something that's familiar to me. So we gotta change our environments, and that's how we can recognize that I know you and I know what you're going through. I can see it and I understand, because it's the same thing with the car. Now that I dealt with the car, I see the car everywhere I go. I was in the toxic relationship, so I could spot toxic relationships everywhere I go. There is a familiar thing that happens. There's something that happens, and I'm gonna say something, get a little bit deeper. Why do the people that are in the toxic relationship continue to keep being in a toxic relationship even when they get to new ones? Because it's the law of attraction. It's familiar to me. I'm drawn to it. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed I'm gonna go there. My great-great-grandmother was abused by her husband. My great-grandma was, my grandmother was, my mother was, and I found myself in a relationship that somebody put their hands on me. But you know what? I left because I wasn't dealing with anymore. That generational curse, it's something familiar. I seen it as a child. My mama seen it as a child. She seen it in her life, seen it as a child. My grandmother seen it as a child, and it's a familiar thing. So the familiar eventually will become normal to us. And that normal will tend to live, but we're really living in the abnormal. No, honey, you're not supposed to be hurt if somebody says that they love you. A physical abuse doesn't come with someone saying that I love you. So it's the familiar. When we find that familiar, that's where we're comfortable. That's the same thing with addiction. The new thing is trying to deal with those new coping skills. The new thing is being self-aware. All this is new to you because you was using or you was abusing that substance before all these new things came. So these things are new. But if you find yourself in a new place, but in the old environment, then we can start taking ourselves back to the familiar. So that's what I mean. When we talk about solutions to addiction, it requires self-awareness. It requires all three. It requires self-awareness. It requires new coping skills. And at the end, it requires you to change your environment. And I'm going to say something, I don't know who this is for because it's a little bit off subject, but related. If the people that you are connected to you are allowing you to stay in the old environment, knowing your struggle, those people are not for you. I'm not going to go to my friend, family member, or whoever it may be, spouse, child, mother, father, whoever it is. I'm not going to go to them, come on, Candace, and know that they're dealing with alcohol, being an alcoholic, and ask them to come to the bar with me because that's not my struggle. That part. Because that's not my struggle. I love you, but you should be able to handle it. I love you, but I'm really not concerned with what you're dealing with. Come with me to the bar. You don't have to drink. That's for somebody. Reevaluate your circles and make sure that they're for you and not for what you're for. They're not attached and leached to you because there's something that you have that they want that will help them prosper, but they don't care if they kill you getting it. Oh, those are the ones that are for what you're for. You got something that I want, and if I gotta kill you to get it, it's okay, because as long as I get it and I move forward. I don't know. Okay, Candace. I don't know. Thank you, Dream. I don't know who. Jay! Well, I say J, the letter J. And then I say, Dre! Hi, love. Welcome forward, beautiful. You know those people that are not for you, but they're for what you're for? They're for what you're for, but they're not for you because they don't care if they kill you getting it. That's who I'm talking about. You got to be careful of those people and those snakes that are around you that you're connected to. The frenemies, the ones that you call friends, but they're not. They're secretly planning your destruction, secretly doing things to sabotage yourself. Those type of things, those friends. So you got to check your circles, because if I'm dealing with addiction and you constantly are bring me around the thing that I'm trying to get healed from, then you don't really love me. The one thing that you have to remember when you're trying to get out of addiction is getting better is not a matter of doing it a certain way. All right. What has worked for someone doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for you. What has worked for someone else doesn't necessarily mean that it will work for you. If it does, it does. But if it doesn't, it's okay. Getting better, it's not contingent on what somebody else said. It has to be this way. You have to do this step, this step, this step, this step, this step in order for this to happen. No, this is exactly what I did, so this is exactly what you want to do. It's not going to be the same for everyone. The reason why I'm saying is that don't beat yourself up is because of how Sally got out of the addiction. You took her notes and her instructions and it's not working for you. How Steve got out of the addiction, you took his notes and you're doing it and you're living it and it's not working for you. Getting better isn't determined on exactly how somebody else did it, because that's the reason why we are all different. And the last thing I'm going to talk about addiction, because again, we could be addicted to anything. It's not just substance abuse. It's not just drugs. It's not just alcohol. It's not just cigarettes. It's not just, we can be addicted to, like I said, people. That we need people to validate us. We could be addicted to that because we don't understand what our self-worth is, our self-value. So we need other people to validate us, right? We can be addicted to porn. We can be addicted to sex. We can be addiction. I said, when you see addiction, I want you to see instant gratification. Something that's covering up something, numbing something for a period of time. It's for numbing something. Instant gratification is instant and it goes away. I didn't say lasting gratification. I didn't say lifelong gratification. I said instant gratification. That's where the addiction comes in, because it's something that happens and goes away. So we're continually chasing the very thing that helps us feel good. We got to come and break into a life of understanding who we are. That without all these things, I feel good. Because I know my worth and I know my value. Like I said, King and Queens, when I come to a place to say I have everything when I have nothing, then I know who I am. I have everything when I have nothing. What do you mean by that, Candy? What are you talking about? What I'm talking about is I know my value and I know my worth, which creates self-love on the inside. And there's three things to self-love. I know my value, I know my worth, and I have that relationship with the Most High. Because if I don't understand unconditional love, I can never feel it. And if the Most High is unconditional love, then I have to feel him in me in order to have self-love. So I gotta have that relationship with him if I truly have self-love. I gotta have him in me in order to have self-love. And if I know who I am, then that's what I really know, is I possess the greatest thing that ever can be in possession in existence, and that is life itself. I'm living and I'm loving me. And at the end of the day, if I truly love myself unconditionally, that is even greater than my children's love. I know that's going to get a little bit hard and a little bit deep. That's even greater. I'm talking to me than even my father's love that I have for him. That's even greater than a mother's love. That's even greater than a friend's love. That's even greater than family's love. When we have that love, that's when I could say, strip all from me. Family, friends, children, mother, father, parents, everything. Material things, and I have everything. Because all I need is him. And when I have him, I know who I am. Addiction is a dependency on something else, right? But when we don't develop our own power, that dependency to that addiction is just connected to another dependency on someone else, right? I know that we all dealt with this before. When we come around, let's say our mother, when we come around our father, it's easier for not to use or have to deal with the things that we're addicted to, right? We have that dependency, and that dependency from the addiction, we start depending on other people's power. The people that we love unconditionally, that lift us up, make us feel good. When I see my father, everybody knows that, Candy, you just visit daddy because your energy's on 1,000. We know that. When we see our children, our energy is on 1,000. You know, when we see our spouse and our loved one, our energy is on 1,000. The people that we love unconditionally, our energy is on 1,000 because there's shared energy there. It's a shared type of power. So real, hey love, yo. There's a shared type of power there. So when we're in this addiction, we gotta come to a place you must develop your own power to get better. Because what happens when mom's not around? And what happens when dad's not around? You're gonna start looking for the thing that the dependency somewhere else, back into the addiction that you were dealing with. You have to be able to break this addiction. You got to be strong enough within yourself. Candy, I'm not strong, because every time somebody starts arguing with me, I go smoke a blunt. Every time somebody starts arguing with me, I start smoking weed. Every time I start thinking about life and the traumas that I have to deal with, I just want to feel good, so I sniff coke. There's different things that I do every time. You know, the week was hard. I worked for 80 hours this week. I got mad bills to pay. I worked overtime. I covered it. I'm mad tired. And it's mad hard for me slaving all week. You know, I just want to feel good and have a drink. Come on, Candy. I just want to go out and spend some time with my friends and drink and forget about the week I got to work. Next week, 80 hours slaving all again. And then the next weekend, I'm hanging out with my friends drinking again and forget about the next week I'm working 80 hours to be slaving again. Who am I talking to? I'm talking only by experience. Because that was me. Every weekend, the drinking never ends. Come on. Nah, hey, love. Hi, beautiful. Welcome for my love. That was me. Always finding something to forget about the crazy life that I was living. The hard struggles that I was dealing with. You can't break out of the addiction until you really possess that power in yourself to be able to get better and change. But Candy, that's the reason why, like I said, Candy, that's the reason why I do this. Because I can't. I'm not strong enough. I don't have it in me. That's why I am addicted, Candy. You're telling me something that don't make no sense. You're telling me to be stronger, okay? But I'm not strong. That's why I'm addicted to this thing. So what are you talking to me about? What I'm saying, Kings and Queens, is we have to come to a place, like I said, to recognize I'm not strong enough to deal with it. I'm not strong enough to deal with the difficult thing. I don't have the ability. And even though I have the tools in me, I don't know how to use them to deal with this difficult thing. But it's okay. The first step to the ones that are asking me that question is saying it's okay. It's okay that you're not strong enough to deal with that difficult thing. That trauma was crazy. It was hard. It's real. That trauma would affect anybody's life. There's nothing wrong with you, Queen. There's nothing wrong with you, King. Free Yada. Hey, love. Jesse, come on. Okay. So now, Candy, okay. So now, Candy, now that I know that I am weak, I'm not strong enough to handle this. And you're saying I need to be okay with that. I'm not strong enough. Okay, it's okay. All right. So what do I do next? You seek help. You find someone, whether it's therapy, like I said, spiritual leader, whoever it may be, to help you build the strength within yourself. Find that power within yourself. And the most of all, the number one person we need to seek is Him, the one who created us. And He'll help us to guide us, whether we going to therapy or who we need to talk to or what the things we need to fix, or He can build it up within ourselves. And that's what we do. And this process ain't easy. And it's not quick. It's hard. And it's not overnight. But those are the steps that we need to do. So you must develop your own power in order to get better. Because then you're just substituting the dependency. And then when the teacher comes back, because the teacher's here, and then the teacher's not here, so the substitute teacher comes in, and then the substitute teacher leaves, and you go back to the teacher, and that's how it is. That's why we need our own power to get better. Wow, that was good, right? Good, deep, hurt, healed, and all that fun stuff, and all that in between, right? So I'm glad that you guys enjoyed. I'm so happy that you shared your energy with me. Now we understand what addiction is. Now we could address it in our life and pull it out at the roots, so it doesn't take root in our life, and we could get to what we deserve. So we heard all that good and great nuggets and everything. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the Ani Marie YouTube channel so you can get the content, and continue to comment and like the videos so I know what you like to see, what you have to say. And I love to know what content you want. So I'm glad that you was here. Thank you for sharing your energy, and I enjoyed it, and I love you from the bottom of my heart, and enjoy the rest of your day. Love you guys.